Hello everyone, I'm Ha Thị Ly from grade City 7D, and today I'm going to present about assessing writing skills. In my presentation, there are four main contents. Firstly is understand the differences between writing as a process and writing as a product. The second one is distinguish between different ways of assessing student writing. And the next one is the different types of writing assessments. And the last one is understand the key elements of any writing assessment. So firstly, I will go with understand differences between writing as a process and writing as a product. Firstly, product approach focuses on writing tasks in which the learner imitates, copies, and checks from teacher supply models. It focuses on the step involved in creating a piece of work. According to the skill, a product-oriented lesson is usually carried out in four stages. Firstly, model tasks are given to students and important features are highlighted. And the second stage is isolated control practice of the highlighted features is provided in this test. And then ideas are organized in this most important stage. And the last one is students individually produce the final product by using the skills, structures, and vocabulary they have been taught. For example, in a typical product approach-oriented classroom, students are supplied with a standard template of text, and they are expected to follow the standards to construct a new piece of writing. And the second one is process approach. A process approach tend to focus more on various classroom activities which promote the development of language skills, such as brainstorming, group discussion, and rewriting. And in this approach, there are 8 stages. The first one, generating ideas by brainstorm and discussion, and the students note down their ideas and judge quality and usefulness of ideas, and organize into mind map, paragraph, or near form, and write the first draft. And then students become readers of each other work, and the drafts are written and improvements are made, and final draft is written, and finally students translate, exchange, and read each other work. And here is comparison of the most general features of the two you can be seen which I show you. And about the advantages and disadvantages, you can hear. That's all about product approach and process approach. And so now we move on ways of assessing student writing. We can assess writing both formative and summative. Formative is why students are developing their writing, and summative is after students complete an assignment. Firstly is formative assessment. Formative assessment are evaluations of someone's learning progress in a classroom. Formative assessment happens with pre-writing activity, writing progress, journal entries, and so on. For example, text on minutes papers. Give your students a solo writing task about today's lesson can help you see how well students understand new contents. And about how to assess formative assessments, you can assess formatively during individually and small group conferences, and you can teach students to assess formatively during peer conference. And so I will talk a little bit about individual conference. Yeah, you can hold an individual conference informally at a student desk or schedule a time at the desk. In the early stages of writing process, focus your responses on ideas and structure. Let the students discuss what he or she is thinking and planning. You don't have to solve all writing problems for your students, but you can ask students that have students go through their own ideas and process. And during later stages, you can allow students to direct individual conferences. Let them know that at any time they can come to you to ask a writing question or work through a writing problem. And yeah, about small group conferences, when you have 3 to 5 students at the same stage of writing project, call them together for a small group conference. The meeting helps students improve their own writing while also giving input to others, and have a volunteer share work and focus on something the person is doing well. Then makes the teacher ask the person to give tip to other writer. Later in the year, you can hold small group conferences to have students start writing for their portfolios, invite students to share work, telling what they like about it, and have other students weigh in on the writing they like most and why. About summative assessment. Summative assessment are evaluations of what someone has learned throughout a course. Yeah, you can see summative example here. About how to assess summative assessments. When students complete a major assessment, you can perform a summative assessment. The following general principle will help you evaluate finished writing products. Firstly, prepare students for summative assessment by teaching them about the qualities of writing and having them use the student checklist as they develop their work. And the second is prior to summative assessment, several students the writing rubric that you will use. And last one is use the writing rubric to assess to single composition or an entire portfolios. Then discuss the rubric with the student. And about purposes and when purposes of formative and summative assessment, and when formative and summative assessment be used. Firstly, I will go with purpose. About formative, it guides the teacher in planning and improve instruction. It also helps students improve learning. And about summative assessment, it let teachers and students know the level of accomplishment attained. And about the when formative and summative be used. Formative is used before or during instruction, and summative is used at the end of instruction. And you can see the difference between formative and summative assessment. Like summative assessment is usually given at the end of instruction to assess mastery of learning objectives. And formative assessment given frequently throughout the course to evaluate progress. Feedback might be given to be effective. And yeah, formative assessment given during unit, while summative assessment given at the end of unit. And while formative assessment measure practice, summative assessment measure material after instruction. Provide feedback to students in formative assessments And in summative assessment, feedback not as important. So now we will move under distinguish the different types of assessing student writing. There are two main types. There are selected response assessment and conjunctive response assessment. Firstly, I will talk a little bit about selected response, including definition and some types of tests like multiple choice test, matching test, and truthful test. Firstly, about definition, selected response assessment is the most familiar form of assessment, where the test taker is asked to select its response from sets of specified alternatives, and the test taker choose an option rather than creating an answer from scratch. And yeah, I will talk a little bit about multiple choice test. Multiple choice is a form of assessment in which respondents are asked to select the best possible answer out of the choice from a list. It's the most important and is full of all objective item types. It can be used to measure raw memory as well as complex skills. And about pros and cons of multiple choice. Yeah, about pros, multiple choice is flexible and versatile. A large number of items can be answered during a brief period of time, and there are no scoring errors. Yeah, actually, and maybe score rapidly, accurately, and objectively. About cons, test only factual knowledge and penalize the creative students. It's difficult to write a good multiple choice item, and it also requires more time to answer. It can be used to measure test the ability to organize material. And we will move on matching test. Matching test is an objective test consisting of two sets of items to be matched with each other for a specified attribute. And about pros of matching, it requires a period of reading and response time. It allows the student to cover more content. It provides objective measure of student achievement or ability, and it provides highly reliable test score. And about disadvantage, uh, it has difficulty measure learning objectives, require more than simple recall of information, and they are difficult to construct due to the problem of selecting a common set of stimuli and responses. And the last one is truthful test. It's a type of test item or test task that requires test takers to decide whether a given statement is either true or false. We say a dichotomous choice as the answer or response. About why it's quick and easy to score. It also one of the most undeniable form of assessment. It's often written so that most of the statement issues have one small, often share a bit of information that then makes the whole statement untrue, and it encourages guessing and request for correct guesses. And so about constructive response, we also talk a little bit about definition and types of tests of constructive response like open-ended question, essays, and portfolios. Firstly, a little bit about definition. Constructive response questions are assessment items that ask students to apply knowledge, skills and critical thinking abilities to reward standards-driven performance tasks. And yeah, it includes open-ended question, essay, performance task, and portfolio. And now I will talk a little bit about open-ended question. Open-ended question is a question that cannot be answered with a yes or no response or with a static response. Open-ended questions are phrased as a statement which requires a response. The response can be compared to information that is already known the question no. An open-ended question requires some written answer. Yeah, about advantages, it provides detailed response from students. In open-ended question, the teacher bias is minimized because the teacher does not propose the options, and students can express themselves freely when they are asked open-ended questions. About these advantages, the detailed answer from the open-ended question are often difficult to analyze and interpret as compared to closed-ended answer. And it also requires knowledge and skill to analyze the answers and take meaningful notes from responses. The teacher, buyer because he or she has to analyze the answer in his own way. Some students provide detailed answers that have no relevances to the question asked, such as information is unnecessary to the teacher. And about essay, an essay is an assessment question that requires an answer in a sentence, a paragraph, or short composition. Yeah, about how to design a good essay assessment. Firstly, let's say the novel assessment criteria and marking scheme, including grammar, spelling, and other issues, and try to reduce ambiguity in the essay questions. Clearly define the expected response, such as compare, evaluate, summarize, or so on. And about advantages, it has ability to assess all levels of learning objective, and it's encourage original and creative thinking. About disadvantage, correcting is very unreliable, even for the same assessor at different periods, and correcting may be influenced by other factors such as handwriting or length of response. And essays are very time consuming to answer and to correct. About portfolio assessment, a portfolio is a purposeful collection of student work that exhibits the student's effort, progress, and achievement in one or more area of the curriculum. And portfolio assessment is one of the several authentic and non-traditional assessment techniques in education. About broad, it's self-evaluation, reflection, and critical thinking in measuring performance based on a new sample of student work. It provides flexibility in measuring. It says the responsibility for setting learning goals and students have opportunity to have intensive input into the learning process and facilitating cooperative learning activities. And students and teachers have opportunities to discuss learning goals. And about cons, it extra time and bucky and difficult to manage. Developing a systematic and difficult. Exploring portfolios involve the intent use of selective evaluation procedures and scheduling individual portfolios conversions is difficulty, and about advantages and disadvantages of selected response and conjecture response. Yeah, it's easier to score, can be answered quickly, covers a broader range of curriculum in shorter time, but it contains students to single appropriate answer. It encourages students to learn by recognition and subject to guessing correct answer. And about conjecture response, it allows students to demonstrate complex, in-depth understanding. It less likelihood of guessing correct answer, and it motivates students to learn in a way that stress the organization of information, principle, and application. But it's more time consuming to score and more time consuming to answer. Yeah, and the last one, I will talk about the key elements of any writing assessment. And there are four key. Firstly is the task, the writer, the scoring procedure, procedure and the readers. Firstly, about the task, there are four requirements for writing tasks. Is their clarity, validity, reliability, and interesting. You know, Hamilton's whereas the variable of the task components of writing text are the elements that can be manipulated and controlled to give test takers the opportunity to produce their best performance. And students the length of time available to students to write the most of writing, the topic, and the prompt. She argues that the variable name above the topic variable is the most controversial. For example, divided the sources of error surrounding the task into two groups. Firstly, the task characteristic is include features internal to the task such as structure, cognitive loss, or familiarity of contents. And the secondly is that the task conditions like planning time or logistical. Why people found that the types of tasks do not significantly influence writing quality. Some people saw that both prompt and the type of topic result in a significant difference between writing based on a holistic scale. Yeah, you can see the summaries of the effects of task characteristic on complexity and accuracy and fluency. And I will move on the writer. In writing assessment, research the writers have too often been forgotten, actually, because the researchers are more distant from actual writing classroom than they should be. For a long time, writing assessment researchers, most of whom are university professors or employee of large scale tests, have lost themselves in the obscurities of different ways of just test reality. And all writers are influenced by who they are and how they became this person, like race, gender, culture, language background, and all that contributes to individuality. And because of the complexity and the intimacy of writing, even writing on test and exam, writer brings the whole of himself or herself to writing. And about the scoring procedure, over the last 30 years, there have been many developments in scoring procedures for writing assessment. Most scoring procedures, however, can be placed into one of the following three categories. Firstly, hostility scoring, analytic scoring, and primary check scoring. Hostility scoring it means that the assessor assess the text generally rather than focusing on two or three specific aspects. The holistic approach is supposed to respond to the writer positively rather than negatively focus on things the writer has failed to do. About advantage, it's quick and easy because there are few categories for teacher to choose from, and it can provide the writing teacher with diagnostic information about student writing, and it's only produce a single score. A single score can be difficult to interpret for both teacher and student. And about mm, uh, and about analytics score, analytics score breaks down the characteristic of an assignment into parts, allowing the score item itemize and define exactly what aspects are strong and which one improve. And about advantages and disadvantages, it gives a student a clear picture of why they want the score and it's good for the teacher. And but it takes more time than holistic scoring. It concentration on the different aspects may divert attention from the overall effect of the piece of writing. And the last one is primary check scoring. A particular functional focus is selected based on purpose of the writing, and grading is based on how well the student is able to express that function. For example, if the function is process scoring would be on how well the author have been to process the character rather than well organized the idea were and how grammatical the structure in the essay were. And about pros and cons, it focuses the student on particular aspect of the oral or writing task. The letters can be changed and scores can be computed more quickly, but it does not allow writers to distinguish between various aspects of writing and problematic for second language writer. And the last one is the readers. There was a reader's practice in writing assessment led to the emphasis on reader changing that became so common in writing assessment programs from early 1980 on. Uh, the different readers respond to these different phases of writing, and also with some internal consistencies. And finding from a variety of studies result in concern to create training procedure to counteract the possibility that readers would bring different agendas to the reading and assessing the same text. And the experts spend more of their attention of higher order aspects of writing and were more reflective about their own process, while novice readers focus on lower order aspects of the writing and practice online editing of the text as a way to help themselves make sense of the text and reach judgment of quality. And here it ends for my presentation, and thank you for listening.